All right. Welcome to Fast Break Breakfast NBA Podcast. My name is Keith Parrish. I'm joined once again through the miracle of computer phone by my buddy, John Burr. John, how's it going?
Oh, recovery mode, brother.
You recovering from the weekend? We had a similar weekend. We shared a weekend while never seeing or talking to each other.
We like ships in the night.
That's right. Yeah, we both went to Memphis on Sunday. You stayed longer.
I spared you.
I thought I was going to stay a long time.
You wanted to hang out, but you didn't really want to hang out. If you had known my actual situation, you wouldn't have wanted any part of it.
Yeah, so initially I was like, I'm going to spend a long, luxurious weekend in Memphis. This is like a month ago. I'm like, the first weekend of the playoffs, April 15th and 16th, the Grizzlies are going to host a playoff game. One of those 2 days, I'm just going to go for the whole weekend, have a good old time. Then, it became, I really don't want to miss. Like, I like going to my kids' soccer games on Saturday morning. When the schedule came out and it was a Sunday afternoon game, I'm like, all right, I'll go late Saturday afternoon. Spend the night, maybe spend all day, Sunday, maybe hang out, do some stuff in Memphis on Monday morning, come back during the day. Then I'm like, you know what? It might be better if I just get back on Monday. And then I kept thinking about it and it's like, man, I don't want to drive down Saturday night. Really? Like, this game's at 2. I'm just going to wake up and go Sunday morning. And again, the timing of the game was so early where it's like, I'm not going to close any doors. Like if someone's like, do you want to hang out? Do you want to go to Beal? Do you want to go to dinner or something? Like, I'm not going to close any doors. If I'm still in Memphis at like 9 or 10 p.m., okay, I'll get a hotel. Otherwise, I'm going home. And what actually happened?
You went straight home.
Yeah, like everyone is so sad.
I was with a pretty dense group of people in more ways than one, and there was a movement led by a power listener and sometimes Fast Break Breakfast compatriot Eric Wilson we just got to go home, man.
But
luckily,
that's the thing. Y'all push through.
Rarely will you hear me say this. Luckily, my entire traveling party was microdosing, so they could not even that loss could sully their fun.
So it was really funny. So again, I was like, I will hang out if needed, but it turned out like everyone was so sad. Everyone in the gym was so sad. Like the media room was dead quiet. Like I walked into like the post-game press conference, there's no one there. Like everyone's just waiting. And it was a funeral where it was just no one, like people were too nervous to move papers around. And I'm like, yeah, I was like, this is a little too quiet. But then anyways, after the game, I texted you. I'm like, where are you at? And I was like, do you want to meet up? And you're like, man, we're at some hipster place. I'm like, okay. And then I met up with another dude, like briefly said, hey, and I'm like looking at my clock and I'm like, it's like 5. I can be home at 8. Like I'm just gonna leave. And so I get in my car to leave, and actually more on what little fun thing happened. More on that, my steak and eggs. But I'm getting in my car, and you're like, man, you texted back. We're like, man, I made a bad decision. I think I'm gonna be stuck here for a while. I'd really just like to go home now. And I'm getting in my car thinking like, well, that sucks for you.
Yeah.
just took off driving. Got out of town, but honestly,
eventually the malaise wears off, and you're like, Rui and Austin Reeves aren't scoring 50 again. This can be rebuilt.
We can get to that. Yeah, no, it wasn't as extreme because like we knew this was going to be a close series.
I'm not feeling like Warriors fans must be feeling like right now.
Yeah, Warriors got to go through a whole thing too. Like we knew this was going to be a tough, close series. It wasn't even as bad as like back in the day, the game 1 loss at home against the Clippers, where the Nick Young game where the Grizzlies blew that 27-point lead. Like that.
Nothing touches that.
That was just like the worst feeling ever driving home. No, this one was funny because I didn't even get good food. I thought I would come to Memphis and like grab some good food.
I had bad food as well.
I ate the media food, which honestly like was better than normal. They tried hard for the media food. On my way out of town, I'm like, you know what? I've been dying to get Wing Guru. I want to try these Triple J flavored Wing Guru. And I'm like leaving after the game, and I'm like, you know what? It's gonna take forever to get any of these wings. I'm gonna pass. I'll be back in Memphis. I'll get the Triple J flavored wings at some point. And so my dinner, which I'm still paying for on Tuesday, I got a Moe's Burrito in Jackson, Tennessee. And
Jackson.
my thought process was usually I would pre-order a Chipotle in Jackson just so it would be ready. I wouldn't have to wait. But Chipotle has turned on me, and I've decided I can't.
I think the burrito era has ended.
The burrito era, you might be right. The burrito era,
like there was a time when it was like somewhere in between fast food and like casual dining.
Yeah, fast casual.
And it's just fast food now.
Well, so it's food quality. It's just fast food.
Yeah.
But it's also not fast anymore.
Right.
It's like, well, you can't. It's also not cheap. I guess a $10 burrito, you're going to wait 12 minutes for it. It's going to kill you.
I ended up having, well, we'll get to what my best meal was, but my in-arena food was the best food I had this weekend, and that's frightening.
They don't even have that good of options.
I had some rendezvous chicken nachos, and they were pretty good.
Yeah,
I may have been swayed by the fact that my drug-crazed idiot friends were screaming about how delicious they were while we were eating them, so maybe I was swayed.
I do think the rendezvous nachos are now the go-to for food options in FedEx Forum. They used to have some different options, not as not
be
as
able
much.
To get Jets pizza.
what luxury is that?
I know.
Oh man. So anyways, what's your breakfast, John? Before we get into all the sadness, even more Grizzlies disappointment, and then talking about the rest of the playoffs so far, what's your breakfast, John?
So I want to do my breakfast from yesterday, actually.
Okay.
I had McGoss today because it's podcast day. That's what I do.
Yep.
And it's probably getting old. People are probably sick of hearing about McGoss, but I'm going to give a free plug to. Have you had this place, Keith? Bob's Barksdale Diner?
No, someone told me about it though. I heard about it.
It was the most quintessential, perfect breakfast a person could ask for. The thing I was most impressed by was the perfect crust on the hash browns.
Yeah.
Not burnt in any way, just an absolute crusty layer over perfecly cooked tender potatoes underneath.
Do you call that a sear on a hash brown?
I think I do now.
this hash brown sear is ideal.
This crust.
What mouthfeel.
You're bad. I'm talking about fats and salts and acids, and
that's right.
At a diner, but it was really good, and it kind of, and like I said, my spirits are back up after a smacking. I guess I do owe some apologies to some purple and golds.
I don't know if my spirits are not back yet, but I am using the joy of watching Draymond Green antics to bring my spirits back up a little bit. They're becoming buoyed a bit.
In toto,
yeah.
I was getting to this point where I was kind of just miserable.
Yeah.
Because I frankly care too much about too many of these series.
Right.
And I was having that thing where because I've been going over to a buddy's house who's equally obsessed, and we're kind of looking at each other like, what are we doing? This is not fun. We're both standing in a living room. What are we doing? So I'm definitely I've made it a quest. I'm going to go to the games. I'm going to have a good time. This is supposed to be my hobby and something I have a passion for. So I have to stop making myself miserable. And luckily, I'm loving almost all of the series except for the one that my team is in.
Yeah, that makes sense. My breakfast, I just made myself a banana, strawberry, raspberry, carrot, and vanilla yogurt. Just
got there.
Smoothie.
Okay.
A lot of ice. Just a little carrot. Just a little. Trying to work on my night vision. It's real bad.
Frankly, just too lazy to make smoothies. I know that is really bad. That is really lazy.
Here's the thing. I've been this is going to bleed over into my apology. I've been so tired since.
I think you have fibromyalgia.
I do have fibromyalgia. I have a shooting pain in my foot that does not exist. But I feel it. And fibromyalgia, which is borderline a real disease, but also not a real disease. It's a pain with no verifiable causes. I might have that. I might have a generalized Grizzlies depression. But this morning, I've been so tired. And so I've been pre-making the coffee, setting the timer on the coffee pot. Cause I'm like, man, I'm just too tired in the mornings where I don't even want to think about it. I want the coffee to already be there for me. So this morning, I wake up, I had the timer going and like the alarm goes off. I'm like yelling at the kids, like, let's go. It's time to go to school. Let's wake up. I go to the coffee pot and I haven't poured the water into the reservoir. It's just still in the coffee pot, which is now very hot water. But I was like, oh, I was so tired last night. I didn't even think straight and couldn't even prepare the coffee pot properly. Anyways, this will get to my apology. So let's go and do it. Those were our breakfasts. After our breakfast, we do our breakfast in bed apologies. This is our chance to make right what we might have gotten wrong on a previous episode. It's frequently the first time we talk about the NBA. We've already done that a little bit. I got a couple apologies. One, I apologize to my future self for not seizing the day and carpe diem the last few nights. I like on Sunday. All right. The Sunday, what was going to be a luxurious Memphis weekend became a down and back. And then I'm supposed to do the daily ding on Sunday night after the Nuggets Timberwolves game.
But they needed you. They needed your Kyle Anderson insight on that
Nuggets
on that game.
And Timberwolves are maybe my two non-favorite Grizzlies teams playing. I'm real excited to watch this series. I couldn't even open my eyes. I'm like, I had to take a pass. I'm like, I don't think I can do the show. I mean, part of it was like I'm old. Part of it was also
how do you call in sick to a podcast gig?
Dude, I've been up for part of me. I'm like, I might be ill, and then I'm like, no, I've been awake for 17 hours. This game's still in the third quarter. That's unreasonable. I shouldn't have to be awake for 19 hours on a day to watch the end of a playoff game. So I went to bed early on Sunday. By early, I said like 11:15 p.m. And I got a good night's sleep. And now last night, it's the Kings and Warriors. Very exciting playoff series.
You didn't.
Like third quarter. But again, it's like 11:30. I'm like, you know what?
Very late.
I'm so tired still. I just want to go to bed.
My girlfriend came out to yell at me for staying up too late, and I was like, the game is still on.
The game is still on.
It is still on.
Well, honestly, I was like, on Sunday, I'm like, man, I have work. At 12:30 a.m. And then I'm like, I don't think I can do it. Like so I'm like, I texted Dave before, like, hey man, is it okay if I don't do this? This feels like torture.
He must be the nicest coworker.
But he is. He's great. But
his Twitter persona hard as nails.
So now I wake up the next day and I try to figure out. On Monday morning, I wake up and John, you're like, man, what's up with Kyle Anderson? And I'm like, what happened? I don't know what happened. And then I wake up this morning and apparently I missed an entire brouhaha. There was another event. Draymond Green got thrown out. I missed it all.
I'm so glad the Draymond thing went away, so I don't have to watch Kyle Anderson elbowing rookies in the face replays all week, or John Morant running off the running away screaming highlights all week. Because we needed Draymond to Draymond. We needed someone to take the pain away.
Man, so now I just spent this morning trying to catch up. And now I'm watching Draymond, and I feel like I missed all the in moment reactions. Always the best.
Yes, because live, I am a reactionary.
Yeah.
I'm, only a few opinions away from being on the wrong side of history. But I thought we were about to get Malice in the Palace. When they started throwing trash in the Warriors huddle,
yeah,
I was like, oh, this could go someplace. I think if we were anywhere besides Silicon Valley, this could have
We've seen it. We've seen Draymond play to the crowd in these situations many times. I mean, even last year in the playoffs when the Grizzlies beat the Warriors by like 40 or whatever, he just stands up and he's cheering and he's doing the whoop that trick. He's trying to dogging
them, yeah,
take it over. But no, the first thing I saw randomly when I woke up, like my first mention was like the Mark Spears real embarrassing tweet that just came out that was like, Draymond had X-rays on his ankle.
How about just putting it out there on Twitter that you were just you're one of the boys for that guy,
Yeah,
he'll do whatever he wants.
We all know it's access journalism, but that was one of the weirder ones where it's like, really? But then, I'm now catching up, and it's a pretty funny situation.
It is funny, yeah.
My other apology, I guess, could be on last week's show, not doing the due diligence of looking up my Eastern Conference or our Eastern Conference over/under win predictions from last preseason. You would think in this apology, it'd be an opportunity for me to make amends.
You'd be wrong.
I've been so tired. Just didn't have time to look it up, man. I'm so sleepy. Yeah, an apology without any effort to make it right. It's a hollow apology. That's what you get. You get a Draymond Green apology. It's hollow. I'm not going to change anything about my behavior or the way I act. John, what would you like to apologize for?
I guess I owe the purple and gold an apology. I did not think that their role players would have any sort of meaningful impact in this series, and it was put right back in my face. I was not ready for the Rui Hachimura and Austin Reeves games to happen simultaneously all over me. It was
so I've had this debate with a couple of Grizzlies friends over the past day or so. Is Austin Reeves a role player? I maintain he has transcended that.
I would say so. I would say, and I do think that was like kind of a lesson learned, and maybe that's where my apology can roll.
Yeah.
He's very good, and he's essential to what they do, and I know that from watching them. I just didn't think it was going to be enough, but I mean, he was, the engine for the entire second half, and LeBron, kind of to his credit, went and stood in the corner.
LeBron James shot twice in the final 20 minutes of the game.
Yeah.
And he was 2 for 2 on 3-pointers.
I also
he just stood on the way. He's like, this is Austin Reeves' team.
Okay. So did this happen to you? I watched the game live.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I'm going to be honest with people. When you're at a game live, you get lost in the sauce. You can't tell what's going on.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, Dillon Brooks is having a great game. LeBron James is having a bad game. I rewatched the game. I'm like, LeBron had an ingenious game. Dillon Brooks had a terrible game.
So that's funny. No, that was not John. That was not my experience.
Yeah,
I was sitting beside someone who works for like Grizzlies Social. And it was kind of fun watching him drag highlights and like build social media stuff during the game, just to see a little, behind the curtain, how that works. But the people I was sitting beside, lots of them were talking about Dillon Brooks shooting 3-pointers because he missed his first 5 of the game.
That's part of the Grizzlies experience.
That's part of the Grizzlies experience. And then they were like, oh, Dillon stopped shooting. So I was very acutely aware that Dillon was not having the best offensive game. Right. As far as my actual viewing perspective of the game, which I didn't really notice until I watched the game on replay. Mm-hmm. So I'm sitting behind one of the baskets, the basket that the Lakers are shooting on in the second half. So like I see these shots going in and I'm like, all right, they made another 3. They made another 3. It wasn't until I saw like the normal sideline TV camera angle where I'm like, all of these 3-pointers are really deep. Like Austin Reeves was like 3 feet behind the line. LeBron James was like 4 or 5 feet behind the line. I'm like, I didn't notice that. Where I'm like, you know what? They made a lot of 3s. I thought most of them were open. I mean, most of Rui Hachimura's 3s were open and apparently open by design. But I didn't understand the Austin Reeves and LeBron 3s were all so deep.
Can we talk about that?
Yeah,
because I was at points in the game close enough to hear Jenkins talk about how to leave him open.
Yeah.
But then Taylor Jenkins later would stand up, get onto the court, and shriek hilariously loud, pointing at the wide open Rui, asking Triple J to go out and get him. Triple J would go sprinting out there, and at one point Rui walks by him for a dunk.
Yeah, Rui got Jaren good on the dunk.
Embarrassing Taylor Jenkins game, I thought.
I couldn't tell. Well, so in the post game press conference, it seemed like there was a little bit of contradiction between what Taylor Jenkins said and Desmond Bane said. Taylor Jenkins said initially that was part of the game plan, but he was like itemizing, like Rui's first 3 open by design, second 3 bad rotation, and like he went through a few to be like so. But then Bane was like, no, our plan was just to let him shoot, and let's see if he can do it in game 2.
Okay, well, that's interesting. I thought both those guys had bad games, Bane and Jenkins.
Yeah.
I thought the Grizzlies, and maybe this is a product, the communication I thought was very poor defensively. I thought it was a very poor team defensive game, and I thought everybody, except for these are weird names to say out loud, everybody but David Roddy, Luke Kennard, and Santi Aldama, we're not communicating. We're kind of caught up in the moment. And it was weird for those 3 guys to be who I thought were doing what we did all year on defense,
Santi in my mind just gets out of the way of the other players on defense.
Right. But I know that's weird to say with Santi, but I really thought he was trying really hard. And I thought to me, it was because I've been pretty low on Santi for the past month or so, but I've been like, he might have an impact in one of these games, but I thought Bain and even our defensive stalwarts, Jaron and Dylan, just had rough defensive games where they weren't communicating with each other, and it led to we kind of got eviscerated, defensively. I felt.
No, absolutely.
I felt like they got what they wanted.
They gave up 69 points in the second half. Taylor Jenkins said we didn't execute the game plan. I kind of scoffed a little bit at some of that, where he's like, our game plan was to get rebounds. And my thought is, well, but we're bad at rebounding. So I don't know.
Our game plan seemed absolutely insane on both ends. It felt to me like we attacked Anthony Davis.
It seemed like we were making a point to go at Anthony Davis on purpose over and over and over.
What was that, man?
And it was like, why this happening to us? Well, now we learn. Hey, maybe it's the long game. We're wearing out Anthony Davis. Yeah, you got 7 blocks and 3 steals in game 1. Let's see you do that 5 more times. He might. Anyways, let's end this segment. I'm sure we'll talk about the Grizzlies again. We got to spread out a little bit for the rest of the league, but those were our apologies. Before we get to our steak and eggs best thing, I want to let you know about the brand new Grind City Media app. Download this new official Grind City Media mobile app. Explore new ways to access your favorite Grind City Media content, from your favorite shows and series to news and entertainment, including this podcast, Fast Break Breakfast. Stay connected with exclusive content at your fingertips with the new Grind City Media mobile app, available in both the Apple and Google Play stores. All right, steak and eggs best thing, John. What's the best thing you saw in the last week?
So I'm going to throw you a touch of a curveball because I gave this thought after I sent it to you. Yep. Originally, my worst this week was going to be Draymond Green's antics.
Yeah.
But after some soul searching, that's absolutely the best thing I saw.
Of course.
It brings joy to my heart, even though I am a relentless Draymond hater. That was like, one of the great moments of the season and completely insane. And I leapt out of bed this morning thinking about it. So ready to continue the conversation.
So the question is going to be, does Draymond Green get suspended? Should he be suspended?
Well, I'm now to the point where I feel like our commissioner now is like a WWF commissioner.
Yeah.
And is like kind of maybe is going to be revealed as the evil mastermind, because guys like Dylan Brooks and Draymond are allowed to do whatever they want now. They can talk crap about the refs.
Dylan Brooks
got
suspended this year when he did that like no look behind the back kind of nut shot to Donovan Mitchell. Right. And it was one where everyone's like plausible deniability. He didn't know Donovan Mitchell was there and his arm swings back. And I always maintain, I believe consistently maintain, professional athletes know where their limbs are going.
He punched that guy in the balls.
Yeah. They're the most coordinated people on the planet.
Yeah.
Like Dylan Brooks knew.
Dylan he's allowed to talk about the refs at length.
That's true. Dylan Brooks never gets fined for that.
Draymond was calling out refs by their first name.
Yeah.
In the post-game press conference.
So
to me, I'm guessing no suspension. Am I wrong?
So my point is Draymond stepped on Domantas Sabonis on purpose. Like there's no question.
Yeah.
You can't argue that he did not do that. Draymond's like, oh, I'm not very flexible. I know where to put my foot. That's false.
In the interview that you're referencing, he makes it clear he did it on purpose.
Yeah. And so
if you read between the lines of how he phrases things, he makes it clear that there were repercussions for Sabonis trying a dirty play.
Right.
The same dirty play Draymond always does.
Right.
He basically says, if you're going to Draymond to me, I'm going to Draymond stomp a mud
hole
into you.
So Domantas says he was not twisting Draymond Green's ankle. He was merely protecting his face. False. Like, sure. He was grabbing.
Sabonis' first response before whatever narrative they wanted to spin seems the most honest, where Domantas was like, we were fighting.
Yeah.
And Sabonis seemed fine with it. He was like, we were fighting. This is the playoffs. We were fighting.
Yeah. So like, I don't think Sabonis did like the old like 1950s NFL offensive lineman just twist the foot to tear it like
her ankle lock.
Yeah. Like he grabbed his leg, like
wasn't
some
a
players
Jordan
do
Poole
sometimes.
Knee twist?
He deserved a technical foul or whatever the flagrant foul was for grabbing the leg. But then the retaliation, the step on, like it wasn't like a stomp where he lifted off of the guy or anything. it was, again, this is a Draymond Green feature. This is also a thing I say, like, if you feel immediate remorse for your physical action you've done, not that Draymond showed a lot of remorse when he addressed the crowd as a wrestling heel, but like, if you commit a flagrant, if you foul a guy in the air and then realize like, oh, I shouldn't have done that, and then I try to break the fall, that does not absolve you from whatever punishment that should be deserving to you for shoving a guy in the air and or stepping on a guy. That merely shows you're not a sociopath. Like, you realize like, oh, this was wrong. I need to do something different. So like, I don't think Draymond like pulling up a little bit absolves him from stepping on a guy on purpose. I will be interested to see what the league does. I feel like they're not going to do anything, because not doing anything goes away quicker as far as the outrage, as opposed to doing something. And I think the series where it stands, with Kings up 2-0, with Steph Curry and Draymond being down 0-2 in a playoff series for the first time ever,
they don't want that.
I think that weighs in on their decision. They will deny it weighs in on their decision. But we've seen fines and punishments where they cited, like, because of previous behavior of this player.
Ooh.
And there's no way you can't, like, because of Draymond's previous behavior and the number of times he's committed flagrant fouls and the fact that he's always high in technical fouls, and he's been suspended in the playoffs for kicking people before. Like, you can't step on a dude. So I feel like
he did punch a teammate in the face and get suspended by his own team this year.
He did not get suspended. He got fined.
Oh, I thought they suspended him a few games. No.
Dang.
Wow, he is bulletproof. It is insane. I mean, I reached out to our buddies at Round Ball Rock, and they were apoplectic.
Well, so everyone, I have a Warriors fan, not the Round Ball Rock guys. I had another Warriors fan friend who was just like, man, I'm so tired of having Draymond on my team. I know he's instrumental to us winning titles.
Instrumental to you losing titles.
I would rather us just do something else now. He's as tired as me. At
so
10 p.m.
did you see the Steph smile as Draymond's going insane? Have you seen that yet?
I haven't. No, I'm not sure about it.
I think you can ascribe any emotion to what Steph is going through in that moment.
Yeah. I mean, what do we think about this series?
I think it's gonna go.
You picked the Kings beforehand.
I feel very good about the series, and I feel like the series. The only thing I'm sad about is that I didn't have the balls to go Kings in fewer games.
So
because I do think this Warriors team sucks.
Yeah, you've been saying the Warriors are bad for a long time. I love how addicted they are to turnovers. They just love
it. It's insane. And they do nothing to stop it.
And I loved Steve Kerr after the first quarter.
Steve Kerr is straight up full of it. Him pretending he didn't even see the Draymond stuff. There's a giant Dallas, Texas-sized media screen over your head that you stare at after every inbounds pass and foul, and you're not going to look up then. Don't buy it. Don't buy it, chicken lady.
Draymond Green did not break the code. Steve Kerr, when asked after the first quarter, but I believe it was Jared Greenberg on the sideline, is like, what are your concerns about the turnovers? 8 first quarter turnovers. He's like, we play good defense. I'm not worried about turnovers. And it's been their Achilles heel their entire run. They overcame it most of the time, but like, that's always been a problem. And they're so into turning the basketball over. John, if you believe in the Kings, or if you're out there and you believe in the Kings, they are only betting odds for the Kings to win the series right now.
-2. Yeah. I'll go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I'd say what I've seen is about -150, -160 in that ballpark. So if you're confident in the Kings and you're up 2-0, like, go get some money. And we've told you all season, if there's a person out there who believed in the Kings from the start of the season, you could be rich gambling wise. Because we were pointing out, like, post All-Star break, they still weren't even favorites to win their division. And they were up by 3 or 4 games in the standings. Like, believing in Kings could make a person wealthy, if in fact they did gamble. But yeah, I'm seeing Warriors are to win the series right now +134. So not even good odds if you believe the Warriors are still going to come back and do it. I
will definitely walk into the ocean if the Warriors come back. But I also love, I just play the Draymond quotes from earlier with Dylan, where he talks about he is the baiter, he doesn't get baited.
Oh, yeah. Of course, famous. I assume all of our listeners remember. He was saying, Draymond pointing out the difference between him and Dylan Brooks is he only gets technical fouls when he wants to.
I wonder if he feels the same way about his 5 turnovers.
Oh, I love it.
Did he have a 5-5-5-5-5-5-5 game?
He might have. By the way, if you're still confident in your Grizzlies, they're now plus 200 as far as odds of winning the series. Here's my best.
They're still favored in the next game. I'm pleased. It's not by much.
My best thing. So in between me rapidly leaving Memphis, walking out of the arena, going down to Bill for a brief hello, texting with you, finding out you were stuck with some ne'er-do-wells. I'm walking to the parking lot where my car's at, and I see all the people like gathered around the Grizzlies parking garage. I assume they're trying to catch a glimpse of players leaving. And this just happened to work out where like I was walking at the exact same time. And first of all, I see Ja Morant's motorcade leave. And I don't
see
laser
pointers.
It's all no laser pointers. Not inside the car. It's all tinted out windows like Michael Bay film, government SUVs with no markings, and there's like 4 of them. It's really like a motorcade. Like which one is like the only way we knew it was because T. Morant sitting in the front seat of one of them, and so like people are yelling at him, and so I see the Ja Morant motorcade going on the street. Then I see a vision of grandeur, which I had not anticipated seeing.
Did you touch the hem of his garment?
I did not know it was going to give me so much joy. I saw Dylan Brooks drive out in his car, and I'm not interested in like cars or fashion or shoes. And I felt a great sense of regret for not being more interested so I could identify what car this was. It was Dylan Brooks driving some kind of luxury car that looked like it dropped out of the 1970s. It was a modern car, but it was all like cream and brown with these retro 70s colors, and just Dylan Brooks and his sunglasses driving it. Again, to me, someone who does not have much aesthetically in common with any NBA player, maybe outside of like Robin Lopez. I saw this guy, or I'm like, that is so cool. I wish I was that cool. Just Dylan Brooks driving a brown luxury car, and
can you dig?
It was so good. Then the Lakers team bus came out, and I was on the wrong side of it. Apparently LeBron James stuck his head out of the window and started like waving at people. Maybe he mooned the people, but people went nuts and started chasing the bus down the street. So
there were many Lakers fans, most of whom had Southern accents, I might add.
Yeah. You don't have to dig deep to find or drive far to find where the Lakers fans are living at those games. Anyways, those were our best things. Other best thing is, I think I'll do a second one. It's not so hyper Grizzlies focused. Like the first round is good. And these series, we're getting good performances. Like, yeah, all right, maybe the Nets are going to, be done in very quickly by the 76ers. But we had Sunday Bloody Sunday where all the top seeds, Grizzlies included, lost. And it looks like we're going to get a lot of good basketball in this first round. But let's transition now to the opposite of our best thing, the cream of wheat worst thing. John, what's your worst thing?
So here's the rest of the curveball, because I just frankly need your opinion on this.
Yeah.
If I hadn't seen Draymond Green, Archie, the Mongolian Stomper Goldie, stomp a mud hole in Domantas Sabonis, probably the most harrowing moment as far as physicality I would have seen was Kyle Anderson like repeatedly elbowing a 20-year-old in the face in a game where he's down 30. What
is this? Just because you're like a Kansas fan and you're so attached to Christian Brown? I didn't see. I looked at these clips because I was like, what are you talking about? What's John talking about? What did I miss while I was sleeping? There didn't seem that big of a deal. No one cares about this Kyle Anderson's behavior, I don't think.
So I watched it in a room full of fans.
Yeah.
People were pretty mollified. People were like, a lot of people were like, Kyle would do that? Like, this has been a weird 2 to 3 weeks as a follower of Shlomo.
It's a stressful run.
Yeah, the perception among the people paying attention, I think, has certainly changed at this point.
Yeah,
I think Rudy Gobert, of all people, is starting to get more of a benefit of the doubt, because this was violent, weird, and really poor sportsmanship. It's completely unnecessary. And it was multiple times too. Like, if you didn't see the game live, I don't know if you even got to see it all, because
maybe I haven't seen all the clips. I rewatched
he did it a couple of times.
I did the all possessions recap of this one, but I wasn't hyper focused on the Kyle Anderson behavior. This is just also, like
that game was, even though I'm a huge Jokic supporter, that game was hellacious. If you're a Timberwolves fan,
this could be Kyle Anderson. It's like the parent whose fuse is a little bit short with their kids, not because of the kids, but because of other stresses in their lives. This is Kyle Anderson dealing maybe with his inter-team relationships, taking it out on a poor rookie of the Nuggets. I got a few worse things. One.
So you're not worried at all. It doesn't change. You're fine. Doesn't change your perception in any regard.
No, I
hurt my soul a little bit.
I still stand by Kyle Anderson.
Still love his game, but I think he might be a jerk.
What, kind of a jerk?
Yeah, I think he might
here's a few worse things. I'm going to go maybe chronologically. First of all, this happened in the last week. I feel really bad about the Bulls losing in the play-in. They basically went all in just to make the playoffs. They were there at the end of the game. Like they kind of just.
There are many elements to feeling bad about the Bulls losing. Really,
the Heat ran away with it at the end. Zach LaVine was horrible in the game. The Bulls don't really get a draft pick unless they get super lucky and jump up high. This was an all or nothing proposition for the Bulls, and they were up and they were winning, and like it seemed like they could do it. So I feel bad for the Bulls and Bulls fans. Another worst thing, moving in chronological line. One of the new details of the CBA emerged, and I'm just going to read this verbatim. This is a tweet from Tim Bontemps. Quote, as part of the new CBA, if a team goes over the second tax apron, their first round pick 7 years out is unable to be traded. Teams that then exceed the apron twice over the following 4 years will have that pick dropped to the end of the first round. End quote. What? What does any of that mean, John?
I have a Marc Gasol apron that was a giveaway at a Grizzlies game.
If a team goes over the second tax apron, which I sort of know what that means, but I'm not going to try to say what it means on the show that people can hear. And then, all right, so if you go over the second tax apron, your first round pick 7 years out, you can't trade that. Okay, so teams that spend a lot aren't going to be able to trade their pick 7 years out like they can right now. Oh, this next part, if you then exceed the apron twice, I assume he's talking about the second apron. So if you pass the second apron twice, if you do it over the following 4 years, so this means once every 4 years or once every 5 years, I'm not sure. Then your pick, then that pick, I don't know what that pick is. Is this the pick 7 years from now? Then that pick will drop to the end of the first round. Does that mean you pick last in the first round regardless of record? I don't know what any of that means, and I'm a professional podcaster, and I don't know even how to find out. Do I have to subscribe to Dunked on Prime? I don't know what any of that means. I am an old man, and technology has passed me by now. This is the moment. I know how to do social media stuff. I know how to work all kinds of social media apps.
Your skills are apparent.
I can run all the electronics in my house. No problem. I don't know what teams that exceed the apron twice over the following 4 years will have the pick drop to the end of the first round means. That sentence means that's Shams Charania sentence writing.
Right.
By the way, thanks to Shams for the newest update that Ja Morant has a pain tolerance injury. I've never heard of anyone injuring their pain tolerance, but I hope Ja Morant feels better. Breaking. Nothing is broken. That news came out days ago.
I can't. Anything that involves X-rays at this point is fake news. So What am I supposed to do with it? Especially if it comes from Mark Spears.
Yeah. My final worst thing, John, and then we do need to talk about each of these series in some, at least a little bit. My final worst thing is charges are insane. How do we still live in a society that accepts the offensive foul where you slide under an airborne player?
There were three big ones this week, right? And
well, I didn't see. So how did Tyler Hero break his hand? I don't even know this right now. I know. So Tyler Hero broke his hand somehow, but I
was referring to superstar injuries.
But superstar. So Giannis left the Heat's game 1 win over the Bucks. Giannis undercut on with a charge. Ja Morant injured his arm, his hand, wrist, whatever. With Anthony Davis. Again, so bang play.
Boner got under Steph.
And so we have this play where the defense is incentivized to injure the other team.
Right.
And it seems like very common sense things we could change. The very simple move the charge circle out would at least reduce the number of airborne collisions. Like absolutely would.
I know you're going to hate this. I don't think you should get rid of the charge itself, but
yeah,
I do think it should probably, I would like to do things to also, I wonder, are there more injuries now, or is it just because of the way we look at things that we just notice them so much more? It's such a granular microscope.
I think most people who are saying that we got to fix the charge rule, myself included, we're not saying get rid of all offensive fouls. Clearly, I would love to. And I've said it many times, give defenders more tools in their toolbox that they're allowed to use. I think the verticality rules need to be way more lenient. This jump like this, it's an offensive foul. It's a defensive foul. If the defender moves from point A to point B when trying to maintain verticality, I understand you don't want Shaq running full force with his torso out and his arms. I was about to say,
is this going to lead to a new kind of injury?
Like I understand that, but like if the
cross
defender
body blocks,
if the defender basically leaves the ground, has his arms perfectly vertical, and like hits the guy in the torso, I'm fine with those never being a defensive foul call. I honestly think just the idea also that an airborne shooter is allowed to land. I don't see the problem. Like people will say, well, what if Zion Williamson just runs and jumps as far away from the basket as he can, and he gets a free pass? First of all, that sounds amazing. Yes, let's do that. Let Zion Williamson jump as far away from the basket as he possibly can, and knowing that no one's going to go underneath him, but allowing defenders to jump straight up and take that contact. Also, people are like, well, what if you just had like Joel Embiid doing truck stick and like Ja Morant would get injured trying to take a charge or just getting in the way? Well, guess what? That's literally what we have right now. Like if Joel Embiid wants to run as fast as he can towards the basket, by all means, step in front of him and get an offensive foul. Like go ahead and get it.
I think they call that effing around and effing
like,
out.
Go ahead, do it. Like the pendulum, it might swing too far. If we change offensive foul rules, if we make it where like, all right, as long as you jump, you should be allowed to land. I think for me that makes sense.
Victor Wembanyama can jump from the 3-point line.
I know. And so you either have to play defense, you can meet him with verticality. I would love to see, again, this would take an overhaul of the foul rules, but we talked about it a lot. Like if the offensive player initiates contact into the defender's torso, I would love to see those mostly be no calls. Like, I'm sorry, guy,
No calls solve everything.
I think so the problem with no calls is it leads to frustration and Draymond stomps. That's always why we don't want to have many more no calls. Like it's better to call if there's a collision, call something. Otherwise, it can devolve into our Malice in the Palaces. Like there are nuances, and it's not as simple.
Drops? I'm ready for a name for this.
But I do feel like if there were more, honestly, I feel like if the officials called the block charge more correctly, if they clarify the upward shooting motion for drives to the basket is when you have both hands on the ball rising for your jump. You have to freeze frame it. Like the Ja Morant play, you can freeze frame it and see when Ja Morant has both hands on the ball, Anthony Davis is not in his final spot where the collision occurs. Also, all of these super leapers, the Anthony Edwards of the world, who got called for an offensive foul on one of the greatest dunks you'll ever see, they begin like they begin powering up their legs like Super Mario Brothers 2 style well before their gather. Like
I wish their legs would twiddle like Luigi's in the air, Super Mario Brothers 2 style.
You can see like, oh, this is where the player decides to jump. This is where the player's legs are actually like pushing him upwards. Now he has controlled the ball for the gather. This is where legally right now the upper shooting motion starts for drives to the basket. By the way, all those things happen within a 1/10 of a second.
Right.
And it's impossible to officiate correctly. And I don't understand why.
Which is why no one calls travels anymore, because you just don't have the time to see what's happening, because you might be wrong. The gather step is so.
And we've already acknowledged, hey, this is not a basketball purity league. This is an entertainment product with the gather. It used to be like you got 3 steps going to the basket because all right, gather. And then, when did he actually pick the ball up? So let's have a little bit of leeway because we want dunks, because we want Michael Jordan to do special things on the fast break. We want LeBron James to do on the fast break. Now it's been changed to, what if you gather and then you change your direction and take 2 steps backwards and shoot a 3-pointer, which again, it's like, that's legal. Okay, fine. For the sake of points and scoring, we've said that's legal too. To not adjust this for like, it's an entertainment product. Like, we might have to adjust at some point, but like, we can't have these superstars, these guys, anyone. I don't care if it's a superstar. We can't have these guys making highlights.
Tyler Hero's okay too then.
Well, like, if
hero play. Yeah.
I mean, Gerald Green, if Gerald Green back in the day wants to do a dunk and jump over somebody, a defender should not be allowed to stand stationary underneath him. So, like, I don't know. I hate it. I think it's bad for the sport. I felt this way before John Morant fell. I felt this way for years.
This was a moment where I was basically like, hold up, let Keith cook.
Anyways, I'm upset. There
were a lot of Keiths out there this weekend, though.
Man, it was weird. It was weird. All of a sudden, I saw everyone jumping onto my side of the argument.
You were ahead of your time on this one.
Common sense regulations, John. We all agree something needs to be done. How many more tragedies must we endure?
Gotta get rid of guns and charges.
I just think we can all agree, even people who like guns and charges, we need to at least tweak.
We need to reach across the aisle on this.
Let's before we get to the awards segment of the program, let's do a one. We got one listener submitted question. The croissant questioner.
Gerald Gavin Green asks, who hosted our watch party for us this weekend.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. It was packed. Has any player been more disliked versus his earlier perception after coming back from a prolonged injury than Klay Thompson? This is a very Grizzlies fan.
Yeah, it feels Grizzlies. I don't think this is national.
Although Gerald is a Rockets fan.
He likes the Rockets, but he's got a soft spot for the Grizzlies. And for me, yes. I was looking at my playoff hierarchy, which I post on Twitter every year, my playoff rooting hierarchy. Like, which teams am I cheering for? Last year, I had the Warriors 7th among 16 teams. I like the Warriors pretty well. Before that, I loved the Warriors. I thought most people generally like the Warriors. There's some thought, well, if a team keeps winning, eventually it turns and people turn on the team. But like before the Warriors Grizzlies series last year, I consider myself to be a kind of a fan of the Warriors. Liked everything
I have a Steph Curry jersey.
Yeah. And so now, like,
I still like Steph Curry.
I can't stand Klay Thompson. And so most of my social media impressions are through that Grizzlies filter. It does feel like the last time the Grizzlies beat the Warriors in the regular season where Klay's doing the 4 rings thing.
Right.
I feel like I'm seeing more and more, and this is probably me just sticking it out, people making fun of Klay, continually talking about the surly old champion that I won 4 rings. Like, dude, you're down by 30. You got to say, you got to do something else now.
So I used to have this perception of Klay as this like sage like Zen master who didn't speak because he
seems so calm and cool. But now that I've seen that calmness and coolness is not there, and he is easily rattled, easily amped up, I now know that the mute nature of him was that he's stupid and has nothing to say. Because he's not good at his trash talk is the weakest in the league. Yeah. It's literally scoreboard and ring pointing. Right.
Say what you will about Draymond Green. He's like Rowdy Roddy Piper out there.
Oh, Draymond's. I mean, I can't wait for his podcast trash talk that's coming out.
If Draymond's, Hollywood Hulk Hogan, then Clay is the little known Horace Boulder, the cousin to Hulk Hogan that no one knows existed when it comes to trash talk and being cool in games. Yeah, Clay's he went from one of the coolest players to me to one of the most profoundly uncool players.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of a player more disliked versus his earlier perception after come back from a prolonged injury. And injuries usually engender, goodwill. And in this case,
I would say unrelated to injury, like
Kevin Durant.
I would say John Morant's popularity swung massively in the past year. Kevin Durant,
ego.
people liked him, and now I don't know. People don't like. I don't feel like an active dislike for Kevin Durant, but I do feel like a lot of people cheer against him. Because of the mercenary nature of his career?
What about Scottie Pippen when he got surgery that some people didn't think he needed to get?
Oh yeah, the surgery during the season stuff. I don't remember that. Like, again, I watched it, but I was too young and there was no social media. I didn't know what everyone exactly was thinking.
Still happened.
Yeah. Anyways, thanks for the question, Gavin, and more importantly, thanks for hosting the watch party. By the way, I will be at Noble's Beer Hall on Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. If you're anywhere in the Nashville area, come for a Grizzlies Nashville watch party for Game 2 of Grizzlies Lakers. Got a lot of great giveaways for everybody who comes out, so don't miss that. Also, if you want your question to be answered as part of the Croissant questionnaire, you have to become a Patreon supporter. Do that at patreon.com/fastbreakbreakfast. All right, it's now time for the awards segment of the program, the International Stackhouse of Pancakes Award. First of all, just I guess so we can recognize some play-in heroes for their iShop, very high-quality games. Zach LaVine in defeat, 6 for 21, 15 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal, 5 turnovers, 2 personal fouls. Good Lord, man. And then I could have apologized for maybe overemphasizing Josh Giddey's stats from his first play-in game. The second play-in game, Josh Giddey was 2 for 13, 6 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 steal, 2 turnovers, 0 personal fouls. Maybe try. Between those two, who do you think is the play-in worst game? LaVine, 6 for 21, 15 points, 5 turnovers. Giddey, 2 for 13, 6 points, 5 boards, 4 assists.
I'll go LaVine.
Yeah, good job, LaVine. You're the winner for the play-in. So far in the first round of the playoffs, here are our 3 International Stackhouse of Pancakes nominees. RJ Barrett, 2 for 12, 7 points, 6 assists, 4 steals, 1 turnover, 1 personal foul. Trae Young, he was 5 for 18, 16 points, 8 assists, 3 rebounds.
Yearly tradition.
5 turnovers and 1 personal foul. After last year's worst games ever in the playoffs, Trae Young is on a pretty hot streak of being awful in the playoffs. And then Russell Westbrook, John, 3 for 19 in a win. 3 for 19, 9 points, 11 boards, 8 assists, 2 steals, 3 blocks, 2 turnovers, 2 personal fouls.
And he won that game.
That's not in the box score.
I know, but he did.
So who do we got? RJ Barrett, 2 for 12, 7 points. Trae Young, 5 for 18, 16 points, 8 assists. Russell Westbrook, 3 for 19, 9 points, 11 rebounds, 8 assists.
Because we don't look at the game.
It has to be Westbrook.
It's Russell Westbrook, yes.
It's inadmissible how he actually played. This is merely what occurs in the box score. So congratulations, Russell Westbrook. So that series, let's hit all the series real quick. The Clippers, in a game I listened to on the radio driving back from Memphis, the Clippers beat the Suns. This is a big upset. I had the Suns in 5. I feel like most people had the Suns in 5. What are your thoughts here? Suns are barely minus 200 favorites to win the series, which that doesn't seem right. Let me double check that.
What? I'm still on the Suns here. I'm still on the Grizzlies and the Lakers series. I'm not swayed in some of the series.
Yep.
The only one that I kind of felt a little swayed by the first game was Knicks Cavs, but I actually think that the Josh Hart injury is a thing and that could help.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I will go.
I see the Suns to win the series minus 190. They were minus 590 before game 1. That's a massive swing. I don't agree with that swing. I feel like the Suns, I'd be stunned if the Clippers won this series. The Grizzlies Lakers series, I thought it was going to be Grizzlies in 6 or 7. Now I think it's definitely going to be Lakers. I feel for me that swung. Like if you lose a toss up, if you lose a close game, that's what swings the 6 or 7 game series. And this game was close.
But if I told you
yeah,
that Austin Reeves and Rui Hachimura would combine for 50 points, wouldn't you think they would lose that game?
Right. Yeah, sure. And again, my initial pick was to say Grizzlies in 6. Now I'm thinking more Lakers in 6. I think that one wins.
Don't you kind of throw out the last 2 minutes? Because you see your best player get hurt. Yeah. It was a close game until that moment. The momentum had swung back and forth. You see your best player get hurt. I will allow.
Well, they still fought back after that. Ja got hurt with like 6 minutes to go, and it was still 1 point game with 2 minutes left. Yeah.
Don't boot me from the podcast. When Ja got hurt, my immediate reaction was, oh, good, we're going to win.
I thought there might be a little Ewing theory there with this one.
I didn't want him to be hurt for a long period of time. But I was like, for this game, with this insane game plan that we have, this gives us the best chance to win.
Do the Timberwolves? I think the Timberwolves were in a tough spot. Their travel specifically, all play-in teams playing in have it hard. But you had them having to go fly to Los Angeles for the 7-8 game. Then they had to fly back home. They had to win that game and then fly out to Denver, play at altitude. That's a tough ask. They seemed, from what I saw before I went to bed, and then in the all possessions recap, it was a tough ask for the Timberwolves. I picked Nuggets in 5. I still feel like the Timberwolves won't. I don't think they'll get swept, but that wasn't a very heartening game 1.
I just, like we discussed, I just don't think the Timberwolves are up to snuff.
Yeah.
I think this is, actually, you know what? Okay. The Nuggets beat their ass so bad. I kind of feel better about the Nuggets.
Yeah.
Like I was like, all right, Nuggets came here to play, because that was a no mercy drubbing. So they put Jokic back in to further eviscerate them. Jokic was confused why he was in the game.
So the Bucks, obviously dropped game 1. The Heat lose Tyler Hero. I think the belief is Giannis is going to play in game 2. My big question mark for the Bucks was like, is Chris Middleton okay? Chris Middleton with no Giannis dropped 30 or something over 30 in that game. The Bucks are only minus 270 to win the playoff series, which feels like really. So do we think the Heat can make a series out of this one?
It obviously depends on Giannis's health. I don't think the Heat can make a series out of this. I greatly enjoyed that first game. I think it's made, invigorated what was kind of a doldrumsy Heat team, but it was literally just Jimmy Butler and shooters having the best possible results that they could have had.
I mean, Jimmy Butler does in the playoffs. So, yeah. One
of the coolest players in the NBA. Also, speaking with Chuck, he wonders if they're just better with Hero off the floor.
Oh, I love it. I love that. Yeah. Celtics Hawks. I'm not interested in this series yet. Trae Young has to do something before I am. And then, like you said, like Knicks Cavaliers, I still feel like Cavs and 6 can happen. I'm not jumping off on that one. And I believe, so we've now at least mentioned every series. Kudos to me, John, for mentioning the series. And also kudos to me, our segment where we congratulate ourselves. What's a kudos to me that you would like to do, John?
I've waited for this moment.
What is it?
I don't think there was a podcaster who liked the Sabonis trade besides me. I don't think they exist. I think I'm
loved it. Kudos to
you. I win.
It's turns out great trade for the trade for the Kings.
This doesn't happen.
Yeah.
But I have won.
That's amazing. The trade turned out amazingly for the Kings, of course.
It's like one of the great trades.
I mean, De'Aaron Fox is incredible. He's just incredible.
They picked the right guy.
They picked the right guy.
And I have nothing bad to say about Tyrese Halliburton.
That's right.
I have nothing bad to say about him.
You did tell me I was a little bit carried away with Tyrese Halliburton during the season, which is fair.
It's just he's fun to talk about. He's a fun player.
But De'Aaron Fox is so good. Sabonis has elevated this whole team. The Kings are good. The Kings
had a chance to go get a player who is an engine and an all-star, and it worked.
It worked. The light the beam thing, everyone talks about this. The fact that the button doesn't have any give
Mm-hmm.
The fact that you're just it's like it's a
it should be slap the beam.
It's slap the beam or something, because like you gotta build a button. Get a set designer from any.
I didn't know anybody could find something wrong with Light the Beam. I'm impressed.
There's got to be numerous community playhouses in Sacramento. They have a guy or girl who can
get
build
your
you
beam
a button.
I can get your beam button by 4:00.
It has to depress when you hit the button.
With nail polish.
It should feel like a Mario Brothers thing. We're like, look at this comical button which presses in. How the button doesn't press in that's the one thing drives me nuts about the Light the Beam. Everything else perfect. Everything else ideal.
I know we need to run, but here's something that's happening to me.
Yeah.
I'm finding out how I really feel about teams in real time watching it happen.
Right. Oh yeah, always.
Like there's teams where I thought I was rooting for them. I'm no longer rooting for them. Like I watch Bucks Heat. I thought I make a hierarchy as well. You have to be in our Patreon only Slack chat for that.
There you go.
I'm not tweeting that out. That's not for free. But I thought I was for the Bucks. I'm not for the Bucks. I start watching Jimmy Butler. Forget about it. I have these things too where like I don't really like the Heat. I love Jimmy Butler, and like in the play-in games, I was kind of cheering against. Trying to cheer. I just found myself like, oh, I'd rather the Bulls win. Who knew? I didn't expect that. But there's been other years, like you say, where like you start watching Jimmy Butler do stuff, you're like, this is who I want to win. Like I'm watching, Nuggets Wolves. I thought it was going to be slam dunk. The Nuggets are my second favorite team. This is going to be easy to figure out. And then I see Conley and Kyle, and I have
so many feelings for Conley and
I'm
Kyle.
just like, I can't. And then I get sad when the Kyle incident happens, and then when they get blown out, I'm like kind of disgusted and feel down. Yeah. And then I watch Grizzlies Lakers, and I just realize I want the Lakers to win.
What a twist. That's fun. No, here's my kudos to me, John.
Yes.
I know everyone agrees you can't judge rookies after 1 year. But even with that caveat, kudos to me. The Grizzlies offseason last year was catastrophic. Everyone was moving the goalposts on me. I'm like, how can anyone look at this and say this is a good offseason? They promoted. They said, good job, Zaire Williams and John Conchar. You guys are promoted. And then they used 3 roster spots on Jake LaRavia, David Roddy, and Kennedy Chandler. Those guys.
Kennedy Chandler's gone.
Kennedy Chandler got cut.
And they should have cut Zaire instead.
Zaire Williams and John Conchar, DNP.
How about Zaire coming on at the end of the game and just looking lost somehow again? He looked like, when you let the kids play at halftime, Zaire came on and
it looked like Verno and Roser against the Ribs.
Yes.
That's what the last minute of Grizzlies Lakers looked like. It looked like Chris Vernon playing the Ribs. That is everybody
else got super depressed when Ja got hurt. I got super depressed when Zaire came in and dribbled the ball off his own nuts.
So the only guy who played was David Roddy, scoreless in 8 minutes.
Yeah, and I had to dig deep to find something nice to say.
Zaire Williams, Jake LaRavia, David Roddy, Kennedy Chandler gave you 0 points. The entire thing was like, wow, that's pretty bold to use 5 roster spots on all these guys you're not sure can help you in the playoffs. Well, the playoffs are here.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Kyle Anderson had a 5x5 practically in the play-in. I've got Sixers fans telling me they want Melton playing over James Harden.
Dude, Melton with a 2 for 7 plus 17. That's what he does. Sorry. Kudos to me. Par fadeaway, John. What thing are you looking forward to in the coming week?
I am looking forward to / terrified of going to every playoff game that I physically can.
I'm gonna be so broke. Oh,
I'm going back. I'm going to the next Grizzlies game, going to all the LA games, and seeing a Hawks Celtics game. I gotta admit, I am regretting the money I spent on the Hawks Celtics game after game 1.
Yeah. I have purchased my Los Angeles hotel. I mean, I know I can expense it. Quit telling me that. It's
I don't think people know what expensing it means.
Well, I'm still like, it's my money. I mean, it shows money, but if I don't spend it. So anyways, I haven't. I had to file an extension for my taxes because I was too tired. I couldn't do them. So I didn't do my taxes, John. And
I do enjoy that as the season progresses, our show times are getting later and later in the day.
I just can't. Well, so
I'm not ready
I
for
had to
this
do
yet.
another video before this.
Yeah,
I got too much on my plate. I bit off too much. I got more than I can chew. No, my par fadeaway, John. I'm going to LA. I can't wait to see people in Los Angeles. I can't wait to I've never been to Staples/Crypto/ that gym. I'm excited to be there. Also, but the real par fadeaway is Scott Foster is officiating Chris Paul tonight. Scott Foster has won 13 straight games against Chris Paul. So, also, by the way, I mean, just going to the Grizzlies game on Sunday, that was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for me to see my team in the postseason take on Scott Foster. I don't think I've seen Scott Foster ref before.
Cheering for Scott Foster and calling him on a first-name basis.
I mean, it wasn't. Officiating didn't cost the Grizzlies anything in that game. Yeah. It was Rui Hachimura and Austin Reeves combining to make 14 of 15 field goals in the second half. Tip your hat. Good day to you, sirs. Yeah. Anyways, if you want to support our show, do that at patreon.com/fastbreakbreakfast. Don't miss it. That Lizzo show in Memphis got moved to April 24th. So if you want to catch Lizzo, they're going up against Grizzlies-Lakers game. But anyways, if you're in the Memphis area, check out Lizzo with special guest Lotto, the FedEx Forum on April 24th. Tickets available at FedEx Forum box office and Ticketmaster.com. Support our show again, patreon.com/fastbreakbreakfast. You guys are the best. Thanks for listening. Remember, breakfast is the most important thing.